I got called to work with Jay-Z at ROC Nation Studios one night. What started as a dream opportunity turned into the strangest experience of my life. At 1:47 a.m., he cleared everyone out except 3 of us. We recorded something he said was the 4th and final payment. Old cassette tapes from 1996, weird voices on the playback, and $50,000 in cash with a warning to stay silent. Now I'm seeing things I can't explain, and they say I'm scheduled for session 2. Subscribe to hear what really happened in that studio. I was just a regular sound engineer trying to make it in New York. Then one night, I got a call that changed everything. They needed someone at ROC Nation Studios immediately. The session was with Jay-Z himself. I had to sign papers, no phones allowed, and arrive by 11 p.m. Something felt wrong, but I went anyway. Have you ever ignored a warning sign? When I arrived at the building, security was intense. 3 checkpoints instead of 1. The hallways were almost empty and silent. Near the elevator, I saw strange symbols drawn in chalk on the floor. They looked like occult patterns. Nobody explained what they were. Should I have turned back right then? An assistant took me to Studio C without saying a single word. Inside, the room was packed with producers, engineers, and musicians. Jay-Z was in the booth recording, but he kept checking his watch nervously. The lyrics he rapped were strange, talking about sacrifices indoors. Why was everyone so tense? During a break, I went to the bathroom down the hall. Inside, I found a backup singer crying in the corner. She grabbed my arm hard and asked if this was my first late-night session here. Before she could explain, someone knocked loudly on the door. She went quiet immediately. What was she trying to warn me about? The singer whispered to me to leave before 2 a.m., no matter what. She said to make up an emergency if Jay-Z asked me to stay. She was wearing a gold necklace with the number 4 on it. When I got back to the studio, she was gone. They said she went home sick. Where did she really go? Jay-Z took another break, and someone brought him a locked briefcase. He pulled out an old cassette tape from 1996 and told me to play it through the monitors. It was his voice from almost 30 years ago, but the beat was exactly the same as tonight. The same lyrics, too. How is that even possible? On that old tape, I heard someone say in the background, "The first of 4, the contract begins." Jay-Z just sat there emotionless, listening to his younger self. When it ended, he said we were almost there, just 1 more to go. 1 more what? What contract was he talking about? At exactly 1:47 a.m., everything changed. Jay-Z suddenly stopped recording mid-verse and just stared at the clock. He took off his headphones slowly and walked out of the booth without a word. The entire room went completely silent. Everyone looked scared. Why did that exact time matter so much? If you want to know what happened next, keep watching. Jay-Z looked at everyone in the room and said calmly, "Everyone out, now." Then he pointed at me and 2 other engineers. "Except you 3. People grabbed their things and left in under 2 minutes. Nobody questioned him." The backup singer crossed herself as she walked out. What were they so afraid of? Now it was just me, Jay-Z, an engineer named Marcus, and a producer named D'Angelo. Jay-Z walked over and locked the studio door from the inside. He said we were going to record something that could never leave this room. He pulled out old yellowed paper with handwritten lyrics. What was on that paper? Jay-Z explained this track had been recorded 3 times before, once in each decade. Tonight was the 4th and final recording. Marcus started shaking. I looked at the paper and saw the lyrics were full of references to the number 4. His birthday, Beyoncé's birthday, their anniversary, all connected to 4. Why this obsession with 1 number? Marcus suddenly spoke up, his voice trembling. He said he couldn't do this again, because last time he couldn't sleep for 3 months. Jay-Z turned to him slowly and said Marcus signed on for 4 sessions total. This was number 3. One more, and he'd be free. Free from what exactly? Marcus mentioned someone named Tony who completed all 4 sessions and then died in a car crash. Jay-Z's response was ice cold. He said Tony talked, but Marcus wouldn't talk. The way he said it felt like a threat. I realized this wasn't just a recording session anymore. What had I walked into? The beat started playing, and it was haunting, almost hypnotic. Jay-Z's delivery was completely different from his normal style. Slower, deliberate, trance-like. He rapped about elevators going down, the price of dynasty, and names in ancient books. The lights started flickering. Was something wrong with the power? My monitor started glitching, showing weird symbols for split seconds. The same symbols I saw near the elevator earlier. Then suddenly, all the equipment shut down at once. Complete darkness. I counted 4 seconds of total blackness. When the lights came back, Jay-Z was standing across the room. I never heard him move. How did he do that? Jay-Z said quietly, "They're coming to listen." The temperature in the room dropped so fast I could see my breath. D'Angelo restarted the beat, but now there was a strange low hum underneath it. It sounded almost like chanting. The sound wasn't coming from any of our equipment. Where was it coming from? Keep watching to find out what happened next. As Jay-Z continued recording, something was very wrong with his voice on the monitors. It sounded like multiple people rapping at the same time, all in perfect sync. But only one microphone was active. I checked the waveform on the computer screen and saw multiple distinct voice patterns overlapping. That's scientifically impossible. What was I recording? I looked at where the file was saving, and my blood ran cold. The path read, "The 4th contracts 19962-008-20162-024 final." I never created that folder structure. Those years meant something. His first album, his marriage, Lemonade, and Tonight. All 8 years apart. All multiples of 4. What kind of pattern was this? Jay-Z asked to hear the playback. When I pressed play, there were voices in the background that were definitely not there during recording. Whispers and chanting in a language I'd never heard before. Marcus's hands were shaking so badly, he could barely touch the soundboard. Jay-Z just nodded and said, "It worked. They're listening." Then I saw them. Shadows moving in the corners of the studio. But they weren't cast by anything. They moved on their own, independent of any light source. 4 distinct shadows, all moving toward the vocal booth. D'Angelo was praying under his breath. The shadows started taking human shapes, but wrong somehow. What were these things? Jay-Z stood in the center, with his eyes closed like he was meditating. The shadow figures moved closer. One of them reached toward the mixing board, toward me. I wanted to run, but my legs wouldn't move. Then Jay-Z opened his eyes and snapped his fingers once. The shadows vanished instantly. He said to the empty room, "The payment is accepted." D'Angelo asked if this was the last one. Jay-Z said the contract requires 4, and this is 4. After this, it's someone else's turn. He looked right at me and said so many rappers die at 27 or 33, right before their biggest album. That's not coincidence. That's the industry. What did he mean by that? Jay-Z continued explaining. He said he made his choices back in 1996 and had been paying installments ever since. Tonight was his final payment. He walked to a locked cabinet and pulled out an old leather book. Inside were pages filled with names. I recognized some of them. Dead rappers, missing musicians, artists who disappeared. Was this real? Each name in the book had a date and a number next to it. 1, 2, 3, or 4. Some names were crossed out in red ink. Jay-Z said this was the real history of hip-hop that nobody teaches. He pointed to his own name with the number 4, and today's date. Below his name were 4 blank lines for the next generation. Who would they be? If this is getting intense, wait until you hear what happened next. As I watched, one of the blank lines started filling in with fresh ink. A name was writing itself right in front of my eyes. Jay-Z closed the book before I could read it. He said, every generation, 4 are chosen. 4 make the sacrifice. 4 get the crown. He was the last of his 4. The next 4 were already picked. Jay-Z told me to save the track to a USB drive he provided, then delete everything from the system. As I deleted the files, I saw the name. Elevator session 41962-0082-0162-024. Then an old phone rang on the wall. I didn't even notice it before. Jay-Z answered and just listened for 30 seconds without speaking. His jaw tightened. What was being said? He hung up and said, "It's confirmed. The debt is paid." But then he added quietly, almost to himself, "But there's always interest." He pulled out his phone and sent a text. Within seconds, all 3 of our phones buzzed at the same time. It was a photo of each of us from tonight, timestamped 1:47 a.m. Nobody took our photos. How did they get these pictures? The text message below the photo said, "Welcome to the circle. Your silence ensures your safety. Jay-Z told us we were now part of this. The circle protects its own, but also watches." He mentioned other engineers who talked. One died in a car crash. Another had a mental breakdown and got institutionalized. Was he threatening us or warning us? He handed each of us an envelope. Inside was $50,000 in cash and a phone number to call if anything strange started happening. Then he said we each had to record something. He gave us each a piece of paper with a sentence. Mine said, "I was here of my own free will, and I saw nothing unusual. Why did we have to record this?" We each recorded our sentence into the microphone one by one. Jay-Z saved each recording to separate USB drives. He said it was insurance for all of us. But I realized these recordings could be edited to make us say anything they wanted. We weren't just witnesses anymore. We were involved. How could I have been so stupid to stay? I left the studio at exactly 4:44 a.m. More 4s. The symbols by the elevator were completely gone, cleaned away. Security wouldn't look at me. Outside, a black SUV followed me for several blocks before disappearing. I got home at dawn and tried to process what happened, but something felt wrong in my apartment. What was different? Small things were moved. A book I left closed was now open. A chair was turned slightly. On my kitchen table was a business card that wasn't there before. It was completely black with gold text. The 4th circle. We'll be in touch. No address, no phone number. I live alone. Nobody has my keys. How did this get here? Keep watching because it gets even stranger. I tried to sleep, but had the same nightmare over and over. I was back in the studio, but it was the 1940s jazz club Jay-Z mentioned. Musicians in old suits played instruments. I couldn't quite see clearly. They all stared at me with completely black eyes. One walked up and handed me a contract with my name on it and 3 empty spaces. I woke up screaming. The clock said exactly 1:47 a.m. My phone started ringing immediately. Unknown number. I was too terrified to answer. It rang exactly 44 times before stopping. I couldn't sleep after that. As the sun came up, I started researching everything about Jay-Z and the number 4. The rabbit hole was deeper than I imagined. Jay-Z's obsession with 4 is well documented. He was born on the 4th. Beyoncé was born on the 4th. They got married on the 4th. Lou Ivy was born on the 4th. But I found old forum posts about the 4th recording, going back years. References to a secret society in hip-hop with Jay-Z at the center. Were these conspiracy theories or truth? I made a timeline of Jay-Z's career and saw a horrifying pattern. 1996. Reasonable Doubt released. Same year Tupac died. 2008. Married Beyoncé. Same year his friend Pimp C died mysteriously. 2016. Lemonade Crisis. Prince died that year. 2024. Tonight Session. Every 8 years, someone close to hip-hop royalty dies. Every 8 years is 4 plus 4. Was I next? I tried calling Marcus, the other engineer. His number was disconnected. I texted D'Angelo, and he only replied, "Stop. Delete my number." Forget that night. I found an article about a studio engineer who went missing in 2016 after working with an unnamed A-list rapper. The physical description matched Marcus perfectly. Where was he now? 1 week later, I was working at a different studio when D'Angelo walked in. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. He pulled me into a room and asked if I'd seen them yet. Seen who? I asked. He said the Watchers. They appear in crowds, staring at you, and when you look away, they're gone. He'd been seeing them for a week straight. D'Angelo showed me his phone. Dozens of photos of shadowy figures in public places. In every photo, there was a blurry figure in the background staring directly at the camera. He said he tried to leave the city, got to Philadelphia, and found the same black business card in his hotel room. He whispered, "We can't run. We can only obey." What had we become part of? Exactly 2 weeks after the session, at 1:47 a.m., my phone rang. It was the number Jay-Z had given me. A woman's voice said I'd been searching online and needed to stop. The envelope was a gift and a test. I failed the test, but passed the gift forward. "We're watching. This is your only warning." She hung up. What did she mean? The story gets darker from here. I checked my bank account the next morning. The $50,000 was gone, completely withdrawn, and transferred to an account I didn't recognize. I never touched that money. Someone else accessed my account. Then a package arrived at my door with no return address. Inside was a vinyl record, completely black with no label. Should I have thrown it away immediately? I played the record despite every instinct telling me not to. It was the track from that night, fully mixed and mastered. Jay-Z's voice was crystal clear. The beat was hypnotic. But in the background, I heard my own voice. The sentence I recorded, "I was here of my own free will, and I saw nothing unusual," was looped and distorted like chanting. The track ended with a new voice I didn't recognize. It spoke in that same unknown language from the session. But somehow, I understood the last word clearly. "Welcome." I smashed the record and threw it away. But that night, I heard the chanting in my dreams. The language I didn't know, but somehow understood. What was happening to me? 3 months passed, and I got invited to an exclusive industry party in New York. I almost didn't go, but curiosity won. Jay-Z was there in the VIP section. He saw me and gave a single nod of acknowledgement. Later, I saw him talking with 4 young rappers I didn't recognize. They all wore jewelry with the number 4. The next generation was already chosen. One of the young rappers looked at me and smiled. It wasn't friendly. It was the smile of someone who knows a secret you wish you didn't share. I left the party immediately. That night, I started seeing the number 4 everywhere. Not just occasionally, constantly. Every address, license plate, timestamp, and receipt. It was always there, following me. Was I going crazy? I was watching one of Jay-Z's old music videos when I noticed something I'd never seen before. In the background for just one frame, there was text. I paused and zoomed in. It was a list of names, the same names from the book in the studio. And at the bottom, in the smallest text, was my own name written in gold. Below my name were 3 empty lines. Just like in the book, just like the contract for my nightmare. I wasn't just a witness. I was chosen. Chosen for what? I didn't ask for this. I just wanted to work in music. How do you escape something when you don't even understand what it is? The answer would come soon enough. 6 months after the session, I received an email from an encrypted address. No subject line, just a video file attached. I almost deleted it, but something made me click. It was security footage from ROC Nation Studios from that night, but it showed something I didn't see in person, something impossible. What was on that footage? This next part will shock you. The footage showed when everyone left, and it was just the 4 of us, but the camera revealed 7 figures in the room. 3 shadow figures standing directly behind Jay-Z the entire time. I was on camera working the boards, completely unaware. The shadows were watching me the whole time. How did I not feel them there? The video ended with a timestamp. My next birthday at exactly 1:47 a.m. Below it, text appeared, Session 2 of 4. I felt my stomach drop. I didn't witness the ritual. I became part of it. Just like Marcus, I was contracted for 4 sessions total. The debt wasn't paid. It was just beginning. My birthday was in 44 days. I started seeing the watchers that D'Angelo mentioned. In grocery stores, on the subway, outside my building. Always the same blurry figures just at the edge of my vision. When I looked directly at them, they were gone. But I felt their eyes on me constantly. They were making sure I stayed quiet, making sure I'd return for Session 2. I tried to leave the city, packed a bag, and bought a bus ticket to Miami. At the station, I saw 4 people standing in a line, all wearing black, all staring at me. I turned around and went home. There was no escape. The 4th circle had me. I was one of them now, whether I wanted to be or not. I started having visions of the other 3 sessions. I'd see flashes of myself in that studio, older each time, recording sentences I hadn't spoken yet, making choices I hadn't made. It was like the future was already written, and I was just following a script. Was my free will ever real? Or was this always my destiny? D'Angelo called me one last time. He said Session 2 was coming up for him next month. He sounded resigned, almost peaceful. He said fighting it only makes it worse. The circle takes care of you if you cooperate. Fame, money, protection. But if you resist, you end up like Tony, dead or disappeared. He'd made his choice to cooperate. I looked at successful people in the music industry with new eyes. How many of them were part of the 4th circle? How many had made the same choice? Was this the real price of fame? Not just hard work and talent, but something darker. Something that required pieces of your soul, paid in 4 installments over time. My birthday approached, and I received a text from an unknown number. Studio C, 11 p.m. The 2nd recording awaits. Do not be late. Do not bring anyone. Do not speak of this. I had 2 choices. Show up and take another step into darkness, or refuse and face whatever consequences they promised. What would you do in my position? The final answer comes next. I thought about going to the police or the media. But with what evidence? A black business card and deleted audio files? They'd think I was crazy. And those edited recordings of my voice could be used against me. I was trapped by my own words. The perfect insurance policy. They'd thought of everything. These people weren't amateurs. I spent my last 3 days researching everyone who'd supposedly been part of the 4th circle. Many were still alive, successful, and powerful. But some had died young or disappeared at the height of their fame. What determined who survived and who didn't? Was it simply those who talked versus those who stayed silent? Or something worse? The night before my birthday, I had one final dream. The jazz club from the 1940s, but now I was one of the musicians on stage, playing an instrument I didn't know how to play. The audience was full of shadow figures, all watching, all waiting. and in the front row sat Jay-Z, exactly as he looked in 1996, smiling. He mouthed the words, "Welcome, Ho." Tomorrow night, I return to Studio C for the second recording. I don't know what they'll make me do, or what I'll become after 3 more sessions. But I do know this. The music industry has secrets darker than anyone imagines. And some studios have rooms where deals are made that go beyond contracts and money. The fourth circle is real, and now I'm part of it forever. If you found this story intriguing, please subscribe to hear what happens at Session 2. The truth is stranger and darker than any conspiracy theory, and I'm living proof.